091-805-805. Use the hashtag Morning Crossfire on Twitter when you leave us your messages. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I'm Sheriff Quadry. This morning we're looking into surrogacy, infertility and other birth options. And it promises to be an interesting conversation. We're not here alone in the studios.
It's a full house. Achike Chude is still here with us. Achike, good morning. Should I be greeting you good morning again?
Maybe you
But
should.
but that's what just so he's been
Good
here
morning,
since the front
everybody.
pages. Good morning again. And we have Dr. Ife Atuchukwu here with us. She's from the Medical Arts Center. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you here.
Thanks for
And guys,
having
who's
me.
back? Tolu Adeleke was with us yesterday. She's here again. She's with the Midwife Healthcare Solutions. Good morning. Good to have you here again. So people, can we kickstart the show today? Remember to leave us your comment on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. Surrogate motherhood can be said to be a situation whereby a third party female elects or is commissioned to carry pregnancy on behalf of another couple, delivers a baby and hands the child over to the commissioning parents at birth. So when pregnancy is as a result of intra-fertilization in a woman and she has no genetic contribution to the fetus, it's regarded as gestational surrogacy. Let me leave out the details for the medical people here. But in Nigeria, we have a lot of issues around infertility, people who need to have babies, but they don't know what to do. In Nigeria, surrogacy is beginning to look at an attractive option. I see there's a prominent handle on Instagram, and I look through, I'm just amazed at young people who, sign up to carry babies for people for a fee. So we're looking at infertility as a whole and the options for birthing and for having babies. So let's start with the expert in the house, and that will be Dr. Ife. Let's talk about infertility. What really causes infertility?
Well, let's start by defining what infertility is.
Yes.
I think that's where we should start. So the WHO has defined infertility as a disability or a disorder of the reproductive tract characterized by inability of a couple to achieve clinical pregnancy after 12 months of unprotected regular sexual intercourse. For women who are 35 years and above, it's inability to achieve clinical pregnancy after 6 months of regular unprotected sexual intercourse.
Let's do that timing all over again. That's
Okay.
12 months.
So there's 12 months for a woman who is less than 35.
Okay.
But that's 12 months. But for 35 years and above, just because the effect of age would have set in by then, so it's 6 months.
Wow. So
Yes.
if a woman wants to have a baby and she's been trying for 12 months,
Yes,
She
and
can-
she's not up to 35 years. Yes, so you
So-
can say categorically that there is an issue with fertility. Yes, But if
this
she's-
can't
if
just
she's
be a
35
woman's.
No, of course not.
issue.
So we just use because let me say age affects the women a little bit more than it does affect the men. So in order to you start early, you don't base it on the age of the man.
Oh.
Yes.
So how do we tell, or when do we say a man also has fertility issues?
Oh, a man can have fertility issues at any time. But remember, we are talking about a couple who is living together, who is having regular, unprotected sexually. So it's not just somebody you live with. It has to be, the intercourse has to be unprotected and it has to be regular.
Okay.
Yes.
So in this case, we are not referring to the woman alone. We're talking
No,
about the
so
couple.
we're talking about the couple.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Brilliant.
So when we say that a couple has fertility issues, so they've identified that for 12 months, for someone under 35, we've been trying to have a baby. Or for someone above 35, been trying for 6 months, and we don't have a baby. The first thing to think about in Nigeria is village people. And then the other thing is to go look at your wedding video and see if anyone touched you
Yes.
where they shouldn't have, and who you should go beg. But what are the underlying causes of infertility?
Okay, so again, it's a couple. So you would have the male causes of infertility and then the female causes of infertility. So a wide range of causes. So for the let's start with the male.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the male, any issues with your sperm, of course, it's a cause of infertility. If you're having a low sperm count, okay, That is a cause of infertility. And when you're looking at any abnormality, in fact, from the your semen analysis, the parameters for the semen analysis is a cause of infertility, whether it's the count, whether it's the motility. So the sperm has to be motile, not just motile, it has to be progressively motile.
Okay.
Any abnormality in the shape, when you're talking about the morphology of the sperm, that is a cause of infertility.
Oh.
Okay, or any breach or issue in the hypothalamic pituitary testicular
Okay.
Okay, so let me not just go.
Okay. This was the point I asked you to break it down.
Okay, so any issues you have in that tract, just know that there's a tract. It's called
Yeah.
the hypothalamic pituitary testicular axis. So if
Okay.
you're having anything, maybe a tumor in the pituitary can cause that.
Okay.
A cancer patient going through chemotherapy can cause that. Even some localized conditions in the testes, such as if you're having a testicular infection or a varicocele or undescended testes. There's so many things that can cause obesity. can cause
Exactly, because it's
infertility.
also been mentioned.
Yes, the
Alcohol.
common ones, even your lifestyle, yes. So you're talking about alcohol, excessive drinking, you're talking about smoking, use of hard drugs, cocaine, marijuana, all of that, yeah, they can cause infertility in a
wow.
man. And for the woman, the same thing almost applies. Same
Okay.
thing, obesity, lifestyle, if they are exposed to chemotherapy and all of that. In the ovaries, if you're having a condition we call polycystic ovarian syndrome, that can cause infertility, premature ovarian failure. These are the things that can cause infertility in the ovaries. Take it down to the fallopian tubes. So any form of blockage there can cause infertility. Infections, chronic infections such as pelvic inflammatory diseases can cause it. If you have a fluid in the fallopian tube, that's also not good. You go down the tract to the uterus, things like uterine fibroids can cause infertility, endometriosis.
Okay.
So
There are
there's lots-
so many
yes.
causes.
So
So
I have
many
I have this
causes.
another cause that I think we should talk about, and that is the natural cause. Is it possible that a lady and a man looks very fit, okay, everything is okay with them, but they still cannot?
Yes, that's the unexplained. So that's like about 10% of, because the male factor 45%, the female factor 45%, then this 10% you call unexplained. Yes, that can happen.
So we don't know what's happening in that
Yes,
10%.
Yes,
Wow.
we don't know what's happening.
Let me give you some statistics here for fertility, and I'm coming to Tolu on this one. In 2017, fertility rate for Nigeria was 5.46 children per woman. So, yeah, average. Fertility rate of Nigeria fell gradually from 6.39 children per woman in 1968 to 5.4 children per woman in 2017. Let's break this down. Currently, the fertility rate for Nigeria in 2019 is 5.349 births per woman, which is a 1.26% decline from what we had last year. The fertility rate for 2017 is also lower than what we had in 2018. 2017 was lower than what we had in 2016. So it would appear to me that women are not having more children. You deal with women, you're a midwife. So have you seen this practical reduction in the number of babies that we're making as a country?
Yes and no. So I feel that the educated people, educated couples are doing family planning. And I find that people in the rural areas, or who still have the beliefs that the more children you have, the richer you are and so forth, are not doing family planning. So because we are conscious about family planning, we'll naturally have a decline in the amount of babies we have. Yes,
So people are making better choices about the amount of babies they want to have.
definitely, but not enough people. Yes.
Not enough people. Achike,
Yes.
Chude, this is where you come in. So on one hand, we have infertility, people who want to have children and they can't. On the other hand, we have people who can have children and then decide not to have the babies anymore. So how does this affect us as a country? Already we have issues around population. Right now, we say we're about 200 million people, average. Just days ago, we talked about, I asked the question, should we regulate the number of children each parent would have? Should we put a tag to it? If we're having a birth drop, the number of babies we're having reducing every year, what does this say?
Yeah, I was actually, when the conversation started, I was actually asking
Please move
myself,
closer to me.
how I'm going to come in and at what point. because,
There's always something
because I
for
was
you.
looking at of sorts, kind of, but I mean, the reality is that there's been so much politics around the population and population control. And if you look at what is going on, it's an international issue. The United Nations is involved, and so many other, organizations, international organizations, all in an attempt to reduce the population of the world. And they tend to believe that once you can reduce the population to a manageable level, then economic planning, proper economic planning kicks in, and then you can begin to take care of the population. Now, I have had this argument, and I have always said that you cannot define population, on the basis of population itself.
The number of people
cannot, be defined outside of the resources that are available to a people. And so you have a man, for instance, who has about 10 kids, and then he's able to take care of every single one of them. He's able to take care of them. You have another one with 2 kids, he's not able to do that. Sometimes it's also a matter of resources, but the reality is that you cannot run away from planning. You cannot run away from, planning your home. You cannot run away from planning the kind of education you want to give your children, and then the responsibilities that you have. What are the resources for that? And we also told that I think maybe from scriptures, if you want to prepare for battle, you have to take cognizance of the number of troops you have, the resources at your disposal, and if you realize that you do not have enough, then it is better for you to go and meet your enemy before he enters your city gates.
Just go give up.
And plead with him. So it is important. That's why you have census, population planning, so that the government, in a way, would be able to look at what it has with vis-a-vis the population, of the country, and know exactly how to plan. Because if you don't plan, you're going to have implications.
That's right.
Not just economic, you're going to have security implications.
Right.
So many people today have nothing to do, and so the devil has gotten a job for them, and that's why we are no longer safe. But at the same time, we cannot keep on running away from, we cannot keep on being persuaded by the arguments the political class makes about the need to curb, population, without asking them what they are doing with the resources of the country. There are no two ways about that, because ultimately, at the end of the day, the population could be an advantage. You can imagine the millions of young people who have no jobs, who have, who are not economically active. You can imagine putting this number of people into work, and the quantum of productive activities they're going to be involved in.
Just take a cue from China.
You imagine what exactly India, and so many. It's not even as if those countries that are doing well economically, like India, you mentioned, Brazil, do not have their problems.
Issues.
But somehow they have been able to manage their population with regards to the resources that are available to them, and that's why many of them have become successes. United States is so much, but look at what they have done. Brazil and all of that. Where is Nigeria today? We have so much, and we are only touching the substance, the surface of the resources that this country has been endowed with. So you can imagine, and so you can imagine that if we had a political class that is conscious, responsible, responsive to its duties and its responsibilities, that the people, even as the situation is in this country, will sit back and say, look, I love this country. I believe in this country.
Achike, let me hold you. Let's hurry along because of time. Dr. Ife, let me come to you now. We've talked about the causes, what fertility is, and of course it causes. What are the options available to people, who found it difficult to have children? What are those options that they have?
Well, a wide variety of options, if you ask me. The thing is, the couple had to, first of all, come to terms with the fact that they are not able to have children. So there's always that stage of denial. Like you mentioned earlier, it's the village people. It's the, did you touch me when I was getting married? And all
Did anybody
of that.
touch my stomach?
Yes. So they have to, go through the process, come out of it, and then, feel that, okay, it's time for an intervention to happen. Okay. So we have like I said, variety of things you could do. With the you could start with the simple ones, depending on the severity and how long, because they all don't come after 1 year. You see they've stayed 10, 15 years. So depending on when they are presenting to you, you could offer them simpler ones, such as ovarian induction. In just basically what that means is you're trying to just stimulate the ovary, maybe with some medications, plus or minus injections, depending, to just wake the ovaries up and see if you can have eggs. And you now ask them to go home and, of course, have intercourse and see if it happens. Another simpler one you could do is intrauterine insemination. So it's a little bit different from the ovarian induction in the sense that this time around you're stimulating the ovaries and you're manually injecting a washed sperm inside of the So inside of you introduce it inside the uterus so that it kind of boycotts any possible reason, maybe in the vagina or in the cervix, why this woman is not getting pregnant.
So it goes straight into the bed.
It goes straight and finds its way, hopefully, to the fallopian tubes where fertilization happens. Or you can go through the popular one, which we all know is in vitro fertilization. And again, what happens here is different, because you stimulate this woman with pills or injections, and you retrieve them. So you actually have to go to the theater, retrieve those eggs from her.
You harvest the eggs?
Yes. So that's what that's why it's in vitro. It's done outside of the body. Okay. So you harvest these eggs, in your words. You harvest the eggs.
Like a harvesting.
Yeah. Oh well. And then you fertilize it with the sperm. You know, we call it ICSI. So intracytoplasmic sperm injection.
ICSI for short.
Yes, ICSI for short. Yes. So you fertilize it in essence, and give it some stage of cleaving. So they have to form an embryo, and then it cleaves. So depending on maybe your day 3 or a day 5, then you transfer it back into the woman's womb, and hopefully conception happens.
Is there any method where, I mean, you don't have to put it back in the mother's body? Can this baby be grown outside of a woman's body?
No, you cannot be grown outside of a woman's body. So when they get to a particular stage, we call it a blastocyst stage, you freeze them, okay? And they remain like that until the woman is ready. Or, as you mentioned earlier, if there's a particular reason why this woman will not be able to carry the baby, then you can now introduce it into a gestational carrier.
Like a surrogate.
Which is where the surrogates come in. Tolu, you deal with women. You've seen many of these options and challenges. Tell us about them.
I tend to see women once they're pregnant, but if a woman goes through the IVF cycle, so that's when you hear their IVF struggles. And then in my nursing days as a student, you see people who have the procedure where you stimulate the ovaries to produce more eggs, and then they have the complications of that, where you have the ovaries are hyperstimulated, and then the women get sick. But I think I was going to ask 2 questions. Sorry. In Nigeria, you're talking about surrogacy, and we're hardly accepting IVF. So IVF is still done very hush. People don't talk about it because there's a lot of stigma around
infertility, especially. You don't want people to know that you can't carry the baby yourself.
Even when you undergo IVF, you don't even get to say it out, because people might.
That was before. But now I am telling you, people are more open to it right now. We are not there yet, of course. You can't compare it to America or in the UK, where it's nothing. Okay. But I can say that people are more open to it right now.
One of the reasons people might not be so open to it is that we're very religious people. Yes. So I'm thinking, what if you have demons and you're carrying my baby? What if you're going to transfer an evil spirit to my child? Is there such transference going?
You need to separate the spirituality from facts or medicine. And that's why I said it's the will to come first. There are options out there. We need to tell our women and the men as well. We need to educate them. There are options. You don't actually have to go through your life without knowing the love of a child.
That's right.
There are options. So if we can just come out of our comfort zone, you see that things happen, and you would actually achieve your dreams.
Another one of such major challenges is the cost.
Cost.
It's never cheap. Why is it so, Dr. Ify?
Well, because there are lots and lots and lots of things that go into IVF. Like I said, it's even the process is not easy, so it cannot be cheap. Okay.
When you say it cannot, like it's never can be cheap.
Well, I mean, the economy, you will let us know. I mean, you can't blame them.
Is it the cost of bringing in the drugs?
It has to do
what
with
exactly?
everything. It's the cost of bringing in the medication. Is what you work with. The cost of yes, it's everything.
Electricity top on that list.
Where we're talking about, you can freeze those embryos.
And my first thought is power.
Constant 24-hour supply of electricity for you to have frozen embryos. So and in our economy where there is no light almost all the time, what do you do?
Even in the Western world, freezing your embryos are really expensive.
Exactly.
Eggs, freezing embryos.
I mean, it's not
really
just for us.
expensive. Yeah.
In
So
America,
everywhere.
I think is over like $20,000.
Ooh.
Yes.
Like £5,000
Oh, is it?
in the UK.
Yes, in the UK.
25,000.
5,000. So
Oh,
it starts from
5,000.
It starts.
Yes.
Well, in America, I think it's up to about $20,000.
Wow.
Yes. So it's not just here.
We'll talk about the money and some more issues about infertility and the options you have. I know the phone lines will be buzzing. People will have a lot of questions to ask, so we spent a lot of time on the phones today. But we're live on Facebook, so you can watch us right now on Facebook, also on YouTube. It's Nigeria Info FM. You can also reach us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. When we come back, there's more conversations going on here today on the show. We have Dr. Ife Atuchukwu here. She's from the Medical Arts Center. Tolu Adeleke is here from the Midwife Healthcare Solutions. Achike Chude is also here with us to throwing the development angle to this conversation. After the break, we'll talk some more. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I'm Sheriff Quadry.
Join us again shortly.
More talk, news and sports after this.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Well, we're back on the Morning Crossfire. It's 99.3 Nigeria Info. Welcome back on the show. If you're just joining us, Sheriff, you've missed out on so much.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. Well, I'm not sure.
well, we're sorry about that because we don't know why you missed out on so much of the show today.
But you did miss out. But you're in for a long, for another 30, 25 minutes thereabouts. The phone lines are buzzing already. You guys just hold on. We'll come to the phones shortly. We'll also read your messages on Facebook and YouTube. We're talking about infertility, fertility, and birth options. How you could have a baby if you really, really do want to have a baby, and there's a challenge with it. We have Achike Chude here with us, who just raised an interesting point while we were on that break. We also have Tolu Adeleke here. She's from the Midwife Healthcare Solutions. Dr. Ife Atuchukwu is from the Medical Arts Center. So let's talk about this argument we had during the break. Achike seems to believe that there are some forms of, birthing options, what they called designer babies, which would be then that if I have options of choosing to either implant a baby, I asked you if we could grow babies outside of the woman. I think science will still get to that point where you could put I think human beings are made to experiment and try out things.
They fit the role of being a woman now, won't they?
but the egg is coming from the woman.
There, but it just defeats. I mean, why are you now a woman?
Are you just a woman to bear babies?
No, well, not just to bear babies, of course, but I mean, this is something that had been assigned by nature.
You are saying this. The other day I was reading on one of the UK newspapers, and they said we should stop calling women expectant mothers because we're doing a disservice to transgender people. So exactly. So saying your point as to women birthing babies, no. So
if I'm a woman and I don't want to have a,
don't
I don't
forget
want to.
The word I said, nature.
No, I
nature.
So nature gave you a womb.
Yes. So it's been assigned.
Yeah.
Nature. I'm
Thank
not
you.
saying that people can alter. I'm not saying that people can choose not to or choose to. Choice is ours. But
That's right.
naturally,
yes,
it is. You can't take it away from the woman.
And one thing I have realized is that sometimes you tamper with nature at your peril. And even when we're talking about bad fertility ratio and the rest, the problem that Europe has today is the issue of the fertility ratio has become a problem. There's been a fall drastically.
That's right.
And you need a certain level of fertility, where they call it ratio, for you to continue to renew society.
Yes.
So some of these countries have gotten to a level where even their very civilization is under threat. In Spain, not too long ago, I think they appointed a minister of is it marriages or love or whatever.
Yes.
For the first time, I think the death rate,
Minister for Family,
the death rate was higher than the birth rate. Now that tells you that the society is in decline. In China, when they started the one-child policy, there was a serious economic reason why they did that. In a few years, they began to reverse it because you see, and that's why when you tamper with nature too much, and that's why I was asking the question, how far can we go? Look at the issue of genetic engineering, for instance, for plants and crops and all of those things. Now people are arguing about whether these things are safe for human consumption.
But we are improving. We're improving on them every day.
Exactly. No, but the reality is that, there's still this debate, there's still this controversy, because sometimes, and that's why, for instance, when scientists, even those in the medical profession, develop a drug, and they take it for clinical tests and some trials. It takes years for some of them. Sometimes they maybe 5, 6, 10 years.
That's right.
They are looking at the possible implication, not in the next 3 years and so on, but how far can you go? So one has to be careful. It's not just that because we have ability. We have ability to
I'm not of that school of thought. I think that human beings experiment. That's why we have these microphones and you can hear us at home. I think that human beings will continue to experiment.
Can I say something? No, I agree. Absolutely.
We can't stop it. It will happen.
That's how we are geared. That's how we're wired. But the reality is that, for instance, we have experimented with weapons, nuclear weapons, atomic weapons, and so on. They threaten humanity today, the survival of the human race.
That was an accident. It wasn't meant to be a nuclear weapon.
But it all came about because of
about because of experiment.
Which is why I
so
said
there
you can't
must be some
stop
level of control.
some of
There
these
are
things
ethical
will-
issues. You cannot run away from these things.
But
Okay.
if we didn't experiment and we never tried IVF in the first
I
place,
agree.
we wouldn't be where
Of
we
course,
are
well,
right
well,
now.
yeah, nobody is disputing that. I
Well, well, some
of these
people are
experiments have
disputing
advanced
this.
the cause of humanity.
So some
There are
people
no
would
two ways
argue.
about it.
Some people still don't want IVF.
IVF.
Some people still condemn you going through IVF.
That's how I feel. Some people, I feel. I just experimented with it.
IVF.
Yeah, that's what I say. IVF. So some people still have issues with IVF. In fact, with anything that interrupts nature. I mean, they still believe you must have a child. In fact, this is the part that pains me. If you have cesarean section, we call it unnatural delivery. There's natural delivery and there's
Hebrew birth.
Hebrew birth. I don't know where that's coming from.
I think what he's trying to say is how far can we actually
Yeah, so
go?
how far can we go?
Well, I mean, that can't. I mean, I can be the determinant of that. I'm not working on
I don't
that.
think we even have a
But,
hand in that. I mean, man would try things.
They are over there doing their thing, you know.
Some
but-
might be here too, Nigeria.
Yes, but the thing
That's
is,
maybe.
right, really, how far can we go? If that's the question, they can go very far. I mean, you're asking me if they can grow babies outside of the woman.
Yeah.
It
Because
could
I think
get
it's
to
going to
that.
happen.
Yes,
I think we'll
it
get
could,
there
it
for
will,
the
it will get to
transgender.
that probably, maybe in years to come, you know. But right now, we're focusing on what is available and what is right, you know.
So
in
for,
my
for
own-
now, with the IVF and with the other options that we have, how far can we go? So if I want to have a baby, can I determine the sex I want? Can I choose to have twins or triplets?
Right now, yes, all you've mentioned very possible. Okay, we can. So we call it pre-implantation genetic testing. So when you have those embryos I mentioned earlier, you can take them for a variety of testing. So and it's good. In fact, that is what is on board now. Okay, because it helps a lot of couples, especially ones who have the AS. Married couples, but in the past, your AS, I'm AS, we can get married, right? But this helps. It has boycotted all of that because right now I can know, this embryo, is it an A? Is it genotype A? Is it AS? Is it SS? Okay, so any people should not be having sickle cell children anymore.
Okay.
So how does this happen? If both parents have, I mean, one is AS, the other is AS,
Yes.
you can.
So there's a tendency you can have a sickle cell child,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
And that's why we said, you cannot get married. Your AS can get married. But that is, with the experiments we've been talking about,
Yeah.
that has helped out a lot.
Okay.
Because now we can better tell, like, this embryo it's an SS, it has a sickle cell, and you don't want to do a transfer have a woman have that kind of baby. So that has helped.
So can
a
you
lot.
actually particularly choose
Yes.
from the genes and then bring
so
the
you do
A and
this
the
genetic
AA?
testing, like I just said, and that tells you.
See what I'm saying?
Dr. Ife, let's talk,
Yes.
let's talk about success rate, especially of IVF. How much do we have now? I know when it first started, the failure rate was quite high. A lot of people back then, I don't know now, used to try like 3-4 times before they can be successful just for once. Is this still the same?
So you have to go back to the cause. Okay, so you can, if it depends on what the problem for this couple is. And with all these new experiments we've been talking about, the success rate has gone up. Way up.
See?
Yes.
You see?
I mean, I completely agree. It's gone up, a lot because now we are testing these embryos that we are transferring. Okay, we are knowing the genetic makeup of these embryos.
Can I choose
So
an
we're not
intelligent baby? Can I choose the intelligence of my baby?
Well, it runs in the family, right? Intelligence runs in the family. So yes. So and yes, we can select sex as well. Yes. So this embryo, with this testing, we will know, is it a male child or is it a female child? So and then you can have twins as well. So options everywhere.
Let me just put it this way. This
Achike, please move
is
this.
science working with nature.
Yes.
You understand? Because the sperm or the basic whatever ingredient
Comes from
it's not
nature.
manufactured.
Yeah, it's still coming
natural.
from us.
No,
humans.
no,
what science? So
we're
you
not
have-
manufacturing
exactly.
eggs.
So you're talking of science coming.
Achike,
to
is
the
science
of
working
nature.
with nature
Yeah.
or science is interfering with nature?
It depends on the usage. It depends on
What do you mean?
just like the things we discussed now. just like I mean, if we are going back to the basic text, scripture is about going into the world and conquering and all of that, making the kind of
Be fruitful and
creating-
multiply.
creating the kind of environment that is good for the common good. I think what we should
With the
motivate
same amount of
motivate
resources.
governments everywhere is how do we ensure the interests of the common good of the greatest number of everybody, in the society, and that should be the driving principles of humanity.
Let's talk about surrogacy,
Aha.
gentlemen.
So let's start with you, Tolu. Do you see surrogate mothers at your clinic, or have you met anyone who's carrying a baby for another person?
In the UK, yes. In Nigeria, no. Never. So in the UK, it's not. I feel in Nigeria we still frown upon a lot of things, which I said what I said earlier. In the UK, for a couple who either the woman is not ovulating, so she's never producing any egg, so she'll have a donor egg, so somebody else's egg, and then she can get pregnant that way. So in that way, yes, we've seen surrogate mothers.
So my
but
question is, if you're taking donor eggs, is that your baby?
no. Well, yes.
So if
Oh, you see, she said no, and then she said yes. So I was just waiting for her to. I was waiting for her to enlighten me. What if it's hers?
What I meant was, it's not your genetic baby, but it's because if I adopt a baby, the baby is mine.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
it's, the baby's not won't have your
Biologically.
genes. Yes, won't have your genes or right, doctor.
so
Yeah,
it's the baby is your legal baby, not your
Yes.
biological baby. That's how I feel.
yeah.
Do we really have to break it down like that?
Yes. What really is it? So if I'm taking donor egg or donor sperm, is it my baby? Really, actually?
Well, it's your baby, but it may not be genetically your baby.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's your
So
baby.
that's what
yes,
I meant.
but it is your baby. It's your baby.
You know the reason why this question
Yes.
is
Because
quite
when
important.
you have that baby, it's yours. Yeah.
Legally.
Let me even throw some light there, because you see,
Achike,
the
your
reality-
microphone.
Yeah, because the reality is that these things people just don't go into it like that. Sometimes,
Yes.
in most cases, they involve lawyers.
Yes,
True.
but
True.
especially
Rest.
for the
Exactly.
donors or
Yeah.
the surrogate
Surrogate
mothers.
mothers.
Yes, so there's a lot,
There has to be a
lots of
legal basis for what you're doing, so that
Exactly.
tomorrow you don't come back to do this. But I guess that one of the problems that sometimes that are associated or that's associated with surrogacy is the fact that they want to be sure that for a woman who has agreed to carry a baby for 9 months, there is that possibility of attachment, and I think that's a dilemma that has been.
Yes. So giving up that
Yes,
baby.
but
So,
they are
yeah,
not just
yeah,
thrown into it
yeah.
like that. They
Yes,
are being
exactly. They are
cancelled.
being
Yes,
cancelled,
so
yes.
the counseling is paramount. Even before you embark on the journey, that will be the first thing that they do,
Yeah.
because we would want to know: are you really ready? What are your circumstances? What is your situation?
Why are you doing
here?
this?
Why do you want to?
Yes.
So there are lots and lots of things, and they come back. You just don't do it like that. Like I said, serious of counseling, legal aspect of it is as well, and then you can't, of course, neglect the medical aspect, because
Yeah.
they go through series and series of screenings, investigations. We even go as far as going to where they live, because
to
we need
know.
to be sure
Yeah.
what environment. Because these surrogate mothers, sometimes we think they are single. Some of them are married. You know
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yes, and in that
Is
case,
there a problem with that?
yeah, well, it's a little bit different, because now when you're married, you have the husband and he knows. So he has to also be involved.
Yeah.
So you bring him in,
Yeah.
he goes through the counseling, he goes through all the screening. You have to, and it's a cumbersome. Yes. because
If I
you
want to
can't
be a
isolate-
surrogate mother,
Yeah.
about how much would I be paid?
Paid?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Do you have an
It's
idea? of how much?
it's usually an agreement between the surrogate and the couple, right?
You must maybe with the hospital or the clinic in between. So
Okay.
they have to have an in between, because most of the time the surrogate mothers, they want to be anonymous. Yes. So they don't want.
They don't want to meet the
yes,
couple.
yes. So
So here is the
Better,
issue
yeah.
here. Here is the issue here. In Nigeria, there is no law that prescribes or proscribe being a surrogate mother. presently right now?
We are getting there, though.
So
that's my
legalize
question.
this.
Has it?
So we're expecting to get there pretty soon. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's all. It's
Has-
all
has-
We're
coming up.
experimenting.
Yeah.
All right.
We will soon get.
You've
Don't
answered my
worry.
question because
Yeah.
I was
Are
going to
we-
say that how has this affected surrogate mothers or would-be surrogate mothers
Yeah.
from coming out?
When
Because like you said earlier, they don't want to come out. They don't like being displayed like, this is my surrogate mother.
Yeah, because it's their private life,
Yeah,
I
it
guess.
is.
At
Yeah.
this
It's a
point, it
private
is their
life, yeah.
private life.
Okay.
You know.
do we
So
do we have surrogate mothers in Nigeria?
Ooh,
a lot of
Yes, we
surrogate
do.
mothers in Nigeria.
Oh, yes, we
we
do.
do.
there are many.
Yeah, I almost see them on daily basis.
You know why I asked you about the cost. So, 50% of Nigerians are absolutely poor, and there is demand.
And they're very fertile.
Yes, there's demand and then there's supply. On the other hand, there are people who can't carry their babies, and there are people who can carry their babies.
Well, it's not that
Can't-
easy. You can't really just break it.
Isn't
down.
this revenue generation? I can make money by
You're talking
But-
about
carrying a
human
baby.
But
life
isn't
now.
isn't it demand and supply?
Well, it's
Not
not.
like-
You can't really say it's
no.
demand and supply. Absolutely not.
But
What
it is
is it?
business, right?
No,
So you're
no,
talking
but
ethics
you
now.
know, you remember these people
She's talking
carrying this
ethics
baby
now.
are also predisposed to some, pregnancy
That's right.
risks.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
You
every
understand?
business got risk.
Yes. So, and this risk involves life now. So it's not
Yeah,
demand and supply.
And then also, if you're trusting somebody to carry your baby, you want the person to live the lifestyle you want them to live for the length, for the
Yeah.
duration of
Yeah.
the pregnancy.
Yes,
so
alcohol,
it's more
yes,
than
yeah.
Yes, it's more
smoking,
It's
because
more
at
than just
some
giving-
point
Yes.
you
So
have
this-
to move the surrogate mothers. If we are not content with where you're staying, maybe you're staying in Nigeria,
Yeah.
somewhere inside of Lagos. Yeah, so no, we move you, we bring you to a very safe environment because the babies, they are precious.
And it's because of the baby. You are here because of the
yes.
baby.
So everything is to the babies. If they can't eat, we provide that for them. So
Wow.
So,
yes.
please, I think
So
something-
you see what I was saying,
Yeah.
Achike,
Yeah.
about this being, pardon me, I mean medical people, but there is actually demand and there is supply. Yeah, I said pardon me. So
No, you see, there's something maybe in line with where you're going.
instead
Like,
of
you don't-
having
yeah.
baby factories, we can legalize this. If these ladies want to really carry babies for other
Exactly.
people, they can come
And make
forward,
money from
get
it.
paid legally for
Yeah.
it. Instead of having we do have baby factory
and we have
issues.
lots of
I
them.
don't think we can argue that really, because of course but it's all about having backing this up with laws so
Yes.
that there are no complications
Yes.
and controversies. But again, one other issue, and again, I think it comes back to the issue of ethics. We've heard and I've read reports of some young people selling their eggs, and I don't know if you have heard that students, over time, and that I'm told that there are very, very serious implications for the future of some of these people, because in the first place, you don't know the conditions under which these things are done. They want to feed themselves, they want to go to school, and all of that. So they find themselves maybe poverty and
Yeah.
all of those things, the demands of the economy, and you find them doing this, and you have all kinds of clinics. Working under great secrecy, trying to extract eggs from some of these young girls for some rich clients somewhere. And again, you want to ask yourself, link it up with the donor, the trade in organs and all of organ trafficking
Organ
and the
harvesting.
rest. That seems to be, to me, a very dangerous, situation.
But the question I was
don't know
asking is,
whether
if
you've
we
heard about that.
institutionalize
Yes,
this,
yes.
Achike, so instead of having these quacks, if we make this, organized, and people who really want to maybe give their eggs, people need eggs.
No, you see,
Some people
it
can
becomes
actually
a
give
problem.
those
when
eggs.
you commercialialize some of these things, it becomes a problem.
No,
Because-
not exactly.
Yeah.
How far can we go?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes. So it still boils down to the same thing. How far can we go?
Well, how far can we go? Let's get some calls in, shall we?
We should.
Here are the phone numbers, people. You can join us now.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
This is Nigeria Info. We are listening. We have a comment on Facebook from Stephen Adu who says, "Good morning. Add me on this." On what precisely? He says, "I am AS and she's AS2, but we're willing to stay." Okay, so I think it caught up on the AS part of the conversation. But I'm not sure exactly what you mean by add you to this. Okay, so let's also...
I have this message on WhatsApp, and this person says surrogacy is already part of us. And the person tagged baby factories in Nigeria. But
people do it illegally already.
Is that really surrogacy? Because in that instance, I've heard of baby factories, and it's not actually the couple. These girls just
have babies and sell the babies.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have someone on the line chooses to be anonymous. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes. Good morning.
Morning.
I was about to see my new video. Anyway, well, I think Achike said it. Ethics. In all this process, there are ethics. Everything, if you're going to do it with a professional, and I know most people in IVF, they are pure professionals, they are ethics. Because you don't want to think only about maybe the person supplying the egg. Throughout the whole process, there are ethics guiding that process. And I think that is one thing we should continue to push and continue to push in the system to avoid some of these things. There's a reason why human beings haven't started cloning. Because it is not just right. We don't still know where it will lead us to. And that is why some people have the potential or the possibility to clone human beings. But by the guidelines or the things like the Nuremberg laws and some other laws, we don't do it as human beings because we don't know the end stage. So ethics is very important.
All right, thank you so very much. Thank you, Anonymous. We need to make it quick. We have other people on the line. Oh, I'm sorry, we lost that call. Please try reach us again. When you call in, please make your calls as brief as possible. All right, let's see who's here. Good morning. Hello.
It is that line.
Yeah, we can't hear you on that line. Please try another one. Let's see if we can pass another one in now. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Peters.
Welcome, Peters. Where are you calling us from?
We lost Peter. We lost his call there.
Henry is here from Anthony. Henry, good morning.
Good morning. I just want to ask a very quick question.
Please go ahead.
Okay, on the issue of the IVF or whatever you call it, I didn't really get that because I was driving and listening then. If we have an idea of what the cost is like? Like, let's say your spouse has some maybe medical condition that is probably making it difficult for her to conceive or whatever,
okay.
and they choose to use one of those options. Like, what is the cost that we should be looking at?
All right, this is for Dr. Ife. What's the cost? What's the average cost like? For IVF, yeah. Just on an average.
Average, because different folks, different strokes, right?
Different clinics,
different clinics, different locations. So you have to factor all of that in. But on the average, IVF straight up, maybe about $1 million and a little bit above of that, depending now on. Because, of course, if you're going to use donor eggs, it's a little bit more expensive. If you're going for surrogacy, it's a little bit more expensive. You're going to do the pre-implantation genetic testing, it's expensive as well. So depending on what you're doing, but about $1 million,
Right, so an average of $1 million naira, depending on the clinic, the location,
lower,
and the details.
A little bit higher.
Yeah, the details of what you really have to do. But until you go to the clinic, you really would not know. So go to a clinic and find out how much you
could.
This would cost.
You'll be duly attended.
Right. Yes. You can also reach us on WhatsApp. It's 08095975805. I'm trying to go over and read some comments on Twitter just in a moment. But while we're at this, Dr. Ife, let's talk about healthcare for women. We talked about infertility. Totally. Talked about infertility, fertility, and then surrogacy amongst other options. So if I do have an IVF for any of these options, then I do have a baby. As a midwife, what can I do to ensure that this baby stays? Because that's the important thing here.
Stays in the pregnancy or once you've had the baby?
In the pregnancy.
You would have more detailed antenatal care, antenatal checkups. So you'd see your obstetrician more often. You'd also see a midwife more often. Make sure all the routine things are done. You're checking your blood pressure, you're checking your urine, you're checking, you're literally on top of the woman, because in a sense, and I know all pregnancies are special, please guys don't, but this is a special pregnancy, so you want to make sure you tick all your boxes, cross all your I's, and just have regular checks once again, so that if there's anything happening in between, your doctor, your midwife can pick it up quite early and we can intervene just to save the mother and to save the baby.
Right.
Dr. Ife, very quickly, okay, let's take this call.
We have Remy calling us from Makoka. Good morning.
Good morning, Wemimo.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr.
Morning to you.
I want to know, does sugar intake lead to infertility?
Sugar and infertility.
Sugar.
Hello. Because I've heard so many myths about it. I just want you guys to clear that, because people do say the level of sugar could lead to you being infertile and all that.
Okay, if you're taking too much sugar, can it?
Well, sugar generally is not good for you. Because when he says intake, is it a spoonful or a carton full of sugar? So, so you need to know what he means by intake. But yes, excessive intake of sugar is generally not good for your health. Of course, we know diabetes and all of that. But saying sugar and infertility, there's no link. But can sugar cause other things that can lead to infertility? Yes.
So there might be a remote link.
Yes. So do not take excess sugar. Your body doesn't need it. Before it even gets to infertility, it's going to affect so many other organs, that you should be worried about.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, let's get another call in now, shall we? We have Charles here from Agor Palace Road. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. Good morning.
I enjoyed this conversation this morning. I just want to ask something concerning genetic relations. There's this word, chimera. I want to know the how it will affect ownership of a baby. You
want to tell us what chimera is?
Yes, chimera. Yeah.
Oh.
I just come across it. I wanted to know.
Is that a legal term or a medical term?
It's a medical term.
Medical term.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone understand what that is? Yeah.
No, never. Chimera. No.
Chimera. Okay. I don't know what it is. You might want to see your doctor to find out what that is.
Yes, please.
Yes, I think you should.
Yes. Yeah. We have Ken on the line.
Ken, good morning to you.
Hi. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Nice program as always.
Thank you.
Now, straight to the point. My brother is an embryologist. My father is a professor of medicine, specialized in infertility. Unfortunately or fortunately, I'm a lawyer, and this is where I have a problem with them when we have conversations. And I tell them, rather unfortunately, I'm not specialized in medical law, but then I tell them, we need to have a proper structure from a legal perspective for infertility medicine in this country. I'll give you a reason why I say so. My brother was giving me a story. He walks out of a clinic in Port Harcourt, and I know embryologists travel a lot. So he says he's encountered this particular girl who has donated her eggs in at least 2 different clinics. And he says it's medically not good for her. And on the third clinic where he saw her, he raised it up with the medical director, and they stopped her. Now, my point is this. If we do not have a structure in place, hospitals will take advantage of this. And some of these hospitals do not even advise these girls on the implication of having to donate your eggs over and over again. And they give you drugs to simulate this.
Absolutely.
So you produce so much eggs at a time. When you do this over time, it does have an implication.
That's right. Thank you so much. You raised a fantastic point, which is why we talked about having laws in place and enforcing these laws so people are not taking advantage of others, who are in this situation. But we must go now. We must go now. Thank you very much, guys, for coming on the show. Dr. Ife Atuchukwu, thank you so much. He's from the Medical Arts Center. Thank you for your time. Tolu Adeleke is from the Midwife Healthcare Solutions. She's Tolu the midwife. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Achike, Chude.
Well,
no final word. Just say thank you. Just say thank you.
Bye-bye. It's been a wonderful conversation.
We'll see you again tomorrow morning. Big thanks to Tosia Kiride, Yvonne Okaifo, as well as Zainab Yakin for assisting. After the news, Tunji Andrews will be here with Money, Business and Economy. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry.
See you tomorrow.